In this video, I'm going to show you how to start a new R project. We've already done that once in chapter 2, but I'm going to show you again. I'm going to show you how to read a CSV file that you've downloaded, and we're going to do a bit of basic inspection on that. So we're going to read the data in, see how it looks, and then we're going to answer some very simple questions. Okay, so here I am. Everything you need to know here is in exquisite detail in the book. So go and take a look at that. The first thing I'm going to do is start a new R project. I've already opened up RStudio. If you're using a Windows machine, you can simply go to the toolbar here and type RStudio. And you want to click the app button. I've already got it running here, so here you go. So if you see this, as it opens up, don't start coding here. We need to start a project first, and you can see here in the top right it says project none. So if you start writing script files here, inevitably you're going to run into problems when you start trying to read in files. It won't know where those files are. So the first thing you're going to do is go to this little button in the top left, not the far top left, it's the one that says create a new project, or create a project, or you can click file, new project. It takes a bit of time, this. Okay, then I'm going to select a new directory, new project. I am going to call this week 4, and I am just going to put this on my desktop, but you can put this anywhere. In fact, I strongly recommend, if you're using a university PC, you put it in your M drive. So your M drive is, if you go to, it'll look a bit different here, but if it says this PC, you can click on that and you can find a drive which has an M colon after it. That means that when you save it here and then you go and use another university computer, it will follow you, so you'll be able to access it there as well. I'm not going to do that because I'm using my laptop here. I'm going to just stick it in my desktop for now. Okay, and then I'm going to click create project. Here we go. So you should see your window in the bottom right now just show that one file, week 4 rproj. Okay, which means we're good to go. Right, now I'm going to go and I'm going to download the data, wherever I find that. So it's in the book. It's the Pantheria dataset, and I can download it from here. I think it did that. Did it just download that? Yeah, or I can actually get the raw dataset from here as well. So that's what it'll look like if you click that second link, but you should be able to right-click, save as. In fact, I'll do this, right-click, save as, and then I will save it in that folder that I've just created, wherever it's gone, week 4. And I'll save it in there. So that's going to be in the same folder as that I've just created my RStudio project. There you go, and you should see it there. So this needs to be in your window. You need to be able to see it in order to read it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is create a new script file. So I'm going to do that. I always like to save it immediately. I'm going to save this as Pantheria summary. Okay, not CSV.R. Okay, and now we're ready. So you've done the hardest bit. You created the project, you've downloaded the data and moved it into your project, and now we're going to read it. So I'm going to create what we call a variable now. So a variable is just a placeholder in the memory of your computer, which will store a string, a number, any object in R. So in this case, we're gonna read our data to a data frame and store it in a variable called data. And I'm going to use this less than hyphen to assign to my new variable the result of this function, which is read.csv. So I know it's a function because it's got CSV because it's got a bracket afterwards. And I'm now going to put in my file name. And the important thing is here, I use quotation marks around my file name. And I'll type it in, Pantheria summary. Okay. So you have to be very, very careful there to make sure that you haven't misspelled anything. It's case sensitive as well, so you have to make sure that if it's lowercase, it's all lowercase. A trick is to do your quotation marks, start typing, and then press your tab button, and it will actually try and find that file for you. So it'll be the first one. You can click on that, it'll update it. There you go. So I'm going to comment this as well as we go along. Read the data. Remember, a comment is anything with a hash symbol before it. So I'm going to click run. And then you should see two things happen. One is you should see in your console that line appearing, which you've just run. And also in your environment window in the top right, you should see a new variable called data. And you can actually see immediately there's 2,000 observables. That means there's 2,000 rows. And there's 55 variables. There's 55 columns. Okay, let's take a look. If you click on the data, it should bring up a new window in place of your script file. And you can see here I've got loads and loads of data: order, family, genus, species, binomial, and then a load of measured stuff: adult body mass, adult forearm length, head, body, and there's so much data here. Wow. We are just going to, we're not even going to scrape the surface of this data set really. It's just an example of a real large data set. Okay, brilliant. So now we've done that, we need to start thinking about what questions we might ask. So to begin with, I'm going to ask the question. Let me remember what I'm asking. Yeah, I'm going to ask the question, what order of mammal, because they're all mammals in this data set, occurs the most frequently? In other words, has the most number of rows in the data set. Okay, so if I look at my data, I'm going to go through my order column, and I'm going to look at all the different orders, and then I'm going to count every time a Dermoptera or a Chiroptera or a Rodentia occurs in my data set, and I'm going to figure out which of these orders has the most number of rows. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go back to my script file. I'm going to create a new variable called orders, and I'm going to use another function called table. I'll show you what this does now. I'm going to feed into it the data, and then I'm going to do something which you might not have seen before. I'm going to use a $sign, and I'm going to select order. So what I'm doing there is I'm selecting all of the values just in the order column. Okay, so just all of these values in the first column here, nothing else. And then I'm feeding that into the function called table. There you go. And if I run that, you see I get another variable here called orders, and this one is just a big, it's what it says, it's a table, but it's essentially a big list of those values. I can print that out as well, and you can see what that looks like in your console underneath. I'm doing Control and Enter to run these lines, by the way. There you go. And there you go. Let's have a look at that. So it's given me every single unique order, alphabetically, by the way, and it's also given me a number underneath, which has counted how many rows there are of each. And I should be able to see which one. It's this Rodentia has 549 rows. So Rodentia has the most rows. Okay, so I've answered that question. Now, you might not be so fortunate there, because there might be loads and loads more orders or more data, more categorical variables, I should say. And it might be quite difficult to instantly inspect and see, judge it by yourself. So you can actually ask R to tell you what the most common order is. So I'm going to remove this line 6, and I'm going to create a new variable called most common order. And then I'm going to do something pretty funky. And bear with me, I'm just going to type it out. Okay, so I've actually wrapped a function called names around a function called which.max. Okay, so if I used max.orders on my orders variable, in fact I can do that. I'll show you what that looks like. It says 549. So I know the max value is 549, which of course corresponds to Rodentia. But right now, I don't know that it corresponds to Rodentia. So if I do which.max, it'll spit out Rodentia, which is correct, and it will spit out 24. So actually, I've kind of answered this question already. Confusingly, it gives me a number 24 after that. Now, that's not the number of rows. That's the index of the categorical variable Rodentia in my orders variable. And if you were to go through and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on, it would be the 24th label. So to make sure we're getting that out, I am just going to wrap names around this. So that's exactly what I've done above, and it will spit out Rodentia. So I haven't done it without assigning it to a variable. I've assigned it to another variable called most common order, and I'm going to print that out as best practice. Oh, most common order. There you go. So we've read some data in, we've asked a sensible question, and we've done a bit of inspection. I could have asked you anything. I could have asked you, what was the least common family, or I could have asked you how many subspecies of genus whatever were in the data. I could have asked you lots of different questions, and you could have used R to figure it out. Okay, that's the end of this video. Next video, we'll be looking at doing something a bit more sophisticated. We're going to be slicing and filtering your data.